Hello and welcome to the Visual Answers YouTube channel. My name is Gazem Bajani, and I'm here to share with you two simple yet effective practices you can do in the morning and evening to dramatically improve how easily you fall asleep at night and also improve the quality of your sleep. And this all relates back to how you use your eyes. Now, sleep is a fundamental layer to your physical and mental health. It's the ability to allow your body and mind to reset for the new day. There are a number of risks associated with not getting enough sleep. Globally, insufficient sleep is now considered to be a public health epidemic. A considerable body of evidence suggests that insufficient sleep causes a host of adverse medical and mental dysfunctions. Numerous studies have shown that a lack of sleep causes difficulties with learning, memory, retention, and attention, compromised immune system, a reduction of testosterone and estrogen levels, a disruption of hormones, an increased risk of diabetes, an increased risk of cancers, deterioration of cognitive functions, an increased risk of Alzheimer's, cardiovascular morbidity, and effect on weight. Young people with insufficient sleep are more likely to be overweight and may suffer from depressive symptoms and concentration issues. So, how can we improve the rate in which we fall asleep and improve the quality of the sleep that we receive? Now, let me explain how our light viewing behavior has perhaps the strongest effects on our levels of alertness and our capacity to fall asleep and get a good night's rest. Light is the most powerful stimulus for your biological and circadian clock. So within the first 30 minutes of awakening, we ideally need to be viewing sunlight for 10 to 15 minutes every morning. So when you wake up, you really want to introduce light into the visual system. By doing so, you set in motion two biological timers, one for wakefulness that starts immediately and one for sleepiness that starts later on. We have a biological clock behind the eyes, a group of neurons called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which are responsible for controlling your circadian rhythm in a 24-hour cycle. Our brain gets access to daylight through photosensitive cells in the retina, known as ganglion cells, that inform the brain when it's time to wake up or go to sleep. The bright light enters your eyes and triggers the time release of healthy cortisol into your system, which promotes wakefulness and helps you stay active through the day. Exposure to sunlight also regulates the melatonin cycle, which will trigger the signal to release the hormone melatonin later in the day.
So I really advocate for you to get outside. Even if there is a lot of cloud cover, there are a lot more photons, light energy particles coming through the clouds than you would get indoors switching on the lights in your bedroom, for example. And early in the day, exposure to sunlight for 10 to 15 minutes, ideally without sunglasses, is going to be really beneficial for a huge range of biological functions and brain state. Morning light exposure is also going to trigger the activation of dopamine release, the feel-good modulator in the brain.
Now, the question arises, if you're unable to get outside, or say your work schedule is such that you wake up before the sunrise, then simply turn on all the overhead lights in the house. Expose the eyes to the bright lights as a signal and a way to wake the body up and set the cycles needed. They say the best thing to cure jet lag is exposure to sunlight to help reset the circadian rhythm. This is because the cells in the eye that trigger activation and alertness in the brain and nervous system reside in the lower portion of the eye, which view the upper visual field. So, if your work schedule is such that you wake up before the sun rises, when it does rise, take the time to step outside and expose your eyes to the sunlight. In the evening, the opposite of this is also important. As you approach the evening or night and you want to go to sleep, this is the time to avoid bright lights, including the exposure of blue light coming from digital devices, and if possible, to place whatever lights are in your environment lower in your visual field. So this would be desk lamps and candles, if you're able to dim the lights where you can. Avoid the use of televisions, phones, laptops, computers for an hour or 2 hours before going to bed. These are devices that emit high levels of blue light. But if you have to work later on in the evenings, This is where we recommend often having a blue light filter in your glasses to avoid the stimulus of blue light into the eyes, which has an effect on sleeping patterns. The increased usage of smartphones and electronic devices is exacerbating this insomnia epidemic. If you're someone who checks their phone in the middle of the night, through the visual system, your brain and body will think it's morning light. So if you get light exposure later on in the evening or in the middle of the night, it's going to make it hard to wake up early, feeling refreshed, as you're tampering with your body's circadian rhythm. Bright light exposure of any wavelength, anywhere between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., causes a serious disruption in the dopamine system, such that in subsequent days, you'll have a lowering in mood and difficulty in learning. In other words, we get punished for light viewing at the wrong time of the circadian cycle and rewarded for light viewing at the right time of the circadian cycle. But don't take my word for it. Carry out our 7-day challenge. Set the intention that upon awakening, you will take 15 minutes to go outside in order to reset your circadian rhythm. And 2 hours before going to sleep, make it a point to step away from digital devices, lower and dim lights before going to sleep. And if you have to use a digital device, then we often recommend using a blue light filter in your glasses. Reset your circadian rhythm and see if this improves your ease of going to sleep and also improves the quality of your sleep. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found the video useful and informative, please like and share. If you do complete the 7-day challenge, we'd love to hear from you and see how you got on in the comments below. Until next time, thank you very much for watching.